Hey, Cardinals fans, welcome back to the Redbird Rundown, presented by I-70 Sports, your home for all things St. Louis Cardinals. I'm Andy, here with Jonathan and Matt. Hey, we would really like to love it if you would just take a second and share our Spotify or Apple links with some of your friends. It really helps us a lot. They can also be found on Facebook, Blue Sky, and Twitter. But today we're going to be honoring the second longest tenured GM / baseball of operations, one John Mozeliak, also known as Mo. Only Mr. Cashman of the Yankees is longer tenured than he is. So we're also going to recap quickly the series. Spoilers, it doesn't really matter what we're doing because our playoff hopes are basically done. And so it's more likely to talk about this transition and what is on the horizon. Can we invigorate Redbird Nation again? So last week, the Cardinals went 2-2 so far from recording. We're not quite seeing the Saturday or Sunday games, so we don't know how we finished the series against the Brew Crew. We had honestly, kind of me personally, kind of a disappointing series against the Reds. We went 1-2, just because we had some really good pitching for at least two of the games. Libby and McGreevy were solid. And those are great names, and that feels good to say as a Cardinals fan, to say those two names and that they had good starts. Bullpen couldn't figure it out in game one. That does happen, but it's just unfortunate because we did score some runs. But the Reds beat us 11-6. McGreevy comes in the next game, throws 7 shutout innings and a wonderful 3-0 win against the Reds. That felt also really good. Palante did his Palante things. He gives up 4 runs over 5 innings, and we lose 6-2. And then in game one of the Brew Crew series, we have Sonny shutting down that Brewers offense, which is honestly a pretty big thing. We put up 5 runs. We batted around in the 5th, boys. I saw
We did.
we batted all the way around the lineup in the 5th inning. So we go 7-1. So any thoughts, first of all, about any of those series, and then maybe tie in your vibe check of what 2-2 means this week with maybe about 2 weeks left of the season. Jonathan, you got anything for us?
Yeah. I was about to say, how many times have we said Palante pitches 5 innings and we lose?
Mm.
I I think about 60% of the time, really. No, nothing crazy to take away from these, other than just Palante disappointing us, right? McGreevy coming back and striking out quite a few of these Reds batters after he had a series. He had a start in Cincinnati where he struck out no one, right? And come back and do this. It's nice to see him bounce back and change some things up. My vibe check is just it's decision time. It's decision time for a lot of these guys. We're getting towards the end here. Heim, take the wheel. Whatever you got to do. If you got to start chucking stuff off the ship, whatever you need to do, man. I'm ready for the decision time.
Matt, what about you? Got anything from this past week that is of note / your vibe check?
Yeah, honestly, the only thing I care about at this point, because obviously the entire Cardinals franchise is about me, is I need to get one more win. So my over 75 and a half hits.
Oh,
That's all I care about at this point.
I
Because
have been
as
watching
you said,
that as
Andy,
well. I agree.
the rest of it's all dead. Just one more win. But my vibe check, you guys gave me the John Mozeliak rubric. And so I'm feeling kind of nostalgic, wistful, a little sad. Like you could take a drive into the country by yourself alone with the windows down, like the weather nice, and I just kind of feel sad about this Cardinals franchise. It's fallen so far, and it made me I was going through all kinds of memories this week, thinking back on just gloriousness from the past. It's making me sad.
Yeah, I think that
That's a good one.
what you just said is epitomized in my mind. This past week, I saw a couple of people wearing Cardinals jerseys, and one of them was a Nolan Arenado jersey, and I was like, our boy's kind of washed up, isn't he? Like just a random person in Walmart, just, hey, our boy's kind of washed up. And it was a family of 4, and they seemed kind of.
Thought you're gonna say it's like Arenado's cousin or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just by Walmart.
Could you imagine?
That would be so funny.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
it's
man.
just kind of like, well, honestly, we haven't followed Cardinals baseball in a while. They demonstrate, and there it is. I think that is it. We've talked about that like 15 times on this podcast over this year, and I think that just lays it out again. Like,
Oh, this whole thing? God, it's laundry around our house.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
we need to get Andy on at the New York Times so he can write the features. Like, he's been in the cafes talking to the voters. You know, he knows what people are thinking in America.
Yeah, there's just no excitement. Like, not even for the Nolan jersey. Like, it didn't have any response when I said it's kind of washed up. No, like, nope. Just, oh, really? Yeah.
Just the next thing on the hanger. Pull it out.
Yep.
Oh, that's good.
That's where it is. So that's kind of my vibe check is Heim, please, just something.
That's it. Heim, please.
Please,
3 dots.
Please. I see an hour away from St. Louis, Cardinal Nation, not caring one bit about the Cardinals like we used to. Not everyone like, oh my gosh, yeah, let's put it on the radio while we're at camping. It's like, no, they're dead to me. It kind of, not in a bad way, but just like there's indifference, I guess, is really what I'm getting at. So let's look at this man who brought some of the indifference to Cardinals Nation at the end of his, right? You could pretty much kind of say, man, that some of his legacy is a bit tarnished from the end of this run that he's had. But,
you said off the top we're going to be here to honor Mo.
Yeah.
I think that is true and real, and I'm going to try to do this objectively as I can. And so there is some honor. But, I brought a pitchfork with me today, too. I did.
Yeah.
Right, because, listener, just to, go down history lane here for a second before we hop in all the way into the Mo era stuff, is that who he took over for. And again, the Cardinals and lots of baseball organizations, they have kind of like transitioned between like what a general manager and then the head of baseball operations. Like the job title is different for different organizations. But basically it is just who is making the roster moves, the baseball moves, the salaries, all of that.
Yep.
That is the job title that we're talking about. And that used to be Walt Jocketty, for the Cardinals before Mo took over in 2007. So that era, for me personally, and I think probably a lot of the people around here, are the glory years of the poo-poo era, like the Cardinal way. We're just always in the playoffs. We're ruining pitchers' careers, Brad Lidge. So that for me, it just kind of spirals from there. Like they call that as teachers, call it the spiral of knowledge. Like you just revisit the same thing just a little deeper next time. I feel like we regressed. We're going the wrong way on this spiral. So let's just talk real quick. I mentioned a buzzword that's in Cardinal Nation and a buzzword that's across all of the MLB. If we said the Cardinal way, what does that mean for you guys? Because I think that phrase should be like coined, and like that's Fred Bird's thing that he said. His is the Cardinals way. So Matt, can you lead off here for us and kind of discuss what is the Cardinals way? What are we doing? What does that mean?
Interesting. I kind of have and I may be in the minority in this. I kind of have a negative connotation with that term, and I think the positive aspects of it are you play good fundamental baseball. It's George Kissel hitting fungos with a wooden bat, and there's Red Shane Dienst, and there's like this. There's some positivity to it. The long history and tradition. This is one of the blue blood franchises in all of sports.
Yeah,
it doesn't always get. I think it doesn't always get the attention it deserves because it's in the middle of the country and not on the coast. But this is an institution. It's had an enormous run of success at several points during the franchise. So I think all of that's part of it. And then that opening day stuff with the Clydesdales and the Red Jackets and stuff like that. But lately, feels like it's been tarnished with like the Mike Matheny era, and there's some ways that I feel it's been like restrictive on the franchise. Like, no, we don't do that. This is the Cardinal way. Our leaders are Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, except we have to bring in vets because they're not actually leaders. And I don't know. I feel like it's almost binding to us now. And then you throw in this whole like best fans in baseball thing, but they're not showing up at the park this year. In fact, I heard one of the Reds announcers kind of poking fun at them. And I was just thinking, you're a Reds announcer. Are you kidding me? Like, we probably have sold more tickets than Cincinnati this year. So there's pluses to it and there's minuses to it. And I just think everything you've described is true. So right now, the Cardinal Way doesn't feel like something I want to just get a tramp stamp tattoo of right now. It just doesn't feel real good as far as I'm concerned.
I'm surprised that you wouldn't want to do that, truly, hearing it here the first time.
Well, I've flirted with it before, you know.
Yeah, I to add on to that, when I think of the Cardinal Way, you summarized it well with the clean baseball defense, but I also think of like draft and development. That's like almost synonymous. Is that the Cardinal Way is to not fork out a ton of money for these guys. It's to not make the splashy deals per se. It's to do it within, right? The devil magic stuff, right? I kind of associate the Cardinal Way with that as well. And that is something I'm sure we'll talk about here, but that's what we were really good at, bringing up these dudes that continue to have the Cardinal Way, the George Kitchell stuff.
Yeah, so let's real quick, how did John Mozeliak add to or detract from the Cardinals' way? Is a question that I thought of a couple of times. Did he help create what Matt is feeling of like, there's a bit of, I don't know if I like to be attached to this.
Yeah.
Did he have anything to do with that? Did Mo do anything with that? Did he continue at the beginning of his career of doing that, what Jonathan is describing? And that's exactly how I would probably have to describe the Cardinal Way, is what kind of both of you together, but more of a focus on it has to be done internally. That is the Cardinals Way, because aka we're not New York and LA, and we can't spend like New York and LA. So did he do anything, in your guys' opinion, across his tenure? Did he start off perhaps better? Is there anything that sticks in your mind when it comes to John Mozeliak and the Cardinals Way? Jonathan, we'll go to you.
I was going to say, I think it's a good way to transition who he was in his leadership style has kind of added a layer of fog or stink onto this, because early on in his tenure, when you win, you're loved. Yeah. When you lose, you get get beaten into the ground, criticized, nitpicked for everything. When Mo would speak in his quote Moisms, we've talked about this, right? Matt, you said this a couple pods ago that he should probably be thrown into a presidential debate, because you could never pin the guy down on anything. So when you're fielding questions from the Post-Dispatch, shot to them, he can handle literally anything you're going to ask him, because the guy can spin it any separate way. Well, we didn't really care so much for that early on when we were, Pujols was raking and we were bringing, Holiday came in, and then there was Jimmy Ball game and all these other guys, Berkman comes in. It's good when we're winning, but when you continue to speak that way and you don't really connect with fans and you look a little elitist, and I don't know that I specifically feel this way, but I could see how folks could see him and view him as that. I think that the Cardinal Way starts to be a little bit more sour in your mind, because you think about how he's lied to us. I don't know if that's maybe too far, but how he's not being truthful about what's going on with the roster, and that, we just need to add another veteran starting pitcher, even though everybody and their dog knows we need to burn this down to a degree and, reinvest into our draft and development mode. So I think that is what has hurt the Cardinal Way, is his demeanor and his public persona tied into the losses. Is that making sense to you guys?
Yeah, Matt, do you have any follow-up on that?
I was trying to, as I was prepping for this, I was thinking to myself, like, we can't just burn Mozeliak this whole episode on this podcast, because he had a long track record of success, and that is part of his career too. It really is. But to me, I think the Cardinal Way morphed into the Mozeliak Way. And that's complex to me too, because Mozeliak can only operate within the boundaries that the DeWitts give him. Yeah. And so for a long time, Jonathan and I and Andy too, we would talk about like, man, Mo is so good at operating within what the budget that the DeWitts will give to him. But unfortunately, I think the thing that tarnishes Mo's legacy the most, and the thing that is driving this franchise into the mediocrity pool that it is right now, is he lost that player development edge. And when he lost that player development edge, again, the Cardinal Way became the Mozeliak Way. He is a small C conservative, risk-averse, slow-moving guy, and that's good if you're like if you have all this talent and you have Pujols and you have Holiday, and he inherited a lot of those things. Yeah,
right.
if you have that foundation, he's really good at keeping that foundation. He just was not able. Now, granted, Pujols is like one of the best players in baseball history, right? So it's not going to be super easy to find another one of those. But he was just never able to find the next wave and to stay ahead of the game. And so, to me, he both deserves a red jacket, and if they honor him this weekend, I wouldn't surprise if the stadium boos him because that's also his legacy.
It's the name of the game. There's recency bias with this stuff too that you cannot get away from. Like, he was awesome for 80% of his tenure here.
Yeah.
And the last 20% is gonna, it's gonna sour on people's minds. There's no question there.
Yeah. So I want to add on to kind of what Jonathan pointed out, and I'm going to use just a couple different examples of what I agree with both of you. And I think that Mo's, like what Jonathan was talking about with his public persona and the way that he spoke, didn't quite mesh completely with the area of the country that he is in. As in, the Midwest we're just...
Blue collar, like
we're just memed off for being simple folk, but like the honest, or those things are valued.
Tell it like it is.
High degree. Tell it like it is.
Yeah,
that's highly encouraged in the Midwest, and it kind of seems like I was watching a couple of coach interviews from the NFL, and I'll make the translation. Mike McDaniel is the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and he has to deal with a bunch of For now. Yeah. Tyreek is an explosive personality. There's all sorts of people on the Dolphins that are, but he went to Yale. He's a smart dude, and he is very cryptic and very, like, his speaking style is very interesting, but it almost is mismatched with like where he is located. You know what I mean? Like, it's Miami, and Dale, it's like Miami. You know what I mean? But like Mike
Pitbull there.
Exactly. Mike McDaniel's Ivy League, because like he's just kind of strange. He is. He's funny, but he's strange, and I don't know if the vibe fits. And so, like, I agree with Jonathan in the fact that I don't necessarily that Mo's vibe. We need somebody like I don't know, Mike Tomlin for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He just gets up there and just has like a conversation and is real. And I'm not saying that Mo isn't real, but like, he's like, you can hold Mike Tomlin to something. Like, he says something and it's substantial. It's not like, what did he just say?
Yeah. So Heim needs to like work at Schnucks before,
right?
And then like go, and that's his like day job.
Just tell it. Just say what you need to say. Just be real. I would agree with both of you. Is that when we were winning, it was great, but Mo has never really fit with the Midwest vibe very well. And that's just what I want.
That's so interesting that you brought that. I have never thought about that in my life before, but you're right. He will like he'd be at spring training and have those like sweaters tied around his neck and stuff.
Right.
And I'm not saying you can't dress. So I don't actually care the way you dress at all.
For sure.
But that seems like Ivy League bro that plays lacrosse, and that's not what the Midwest is.
That's really interesting.
And I'm telling you, if you pair that with losing, people get frustrated, and then it's easy to see this stuff. These chips, these warts are like, oh, you know what we don't like? Loosen the top button, bucko. You know what I
mean? Yeah.
Well, let's move on so that we kind of set the way for the Cardinal way, what that means to us, and how Mo affected that for better or worse. Let's give him his flowers here for this, or not flowers if you have wanted. Let's talk about the drafts and player development that he has had. So let's just bring the listener up to speed. Let's jog the memory. Matt, why don't you lead us off here of just maybe give us some players that, let's start with successes. Like, let's remember some players that this man drafted that was a good one.
Well, this bears to be said too. John Mozeliak started his tenure with the Cardinals in 1995. So this stretches back before he was in charge of the whole thing. And I think it's important to say he was the draft director when we drafted Pujols and Molina.
Yep.
I know that there are people that go, it's not just him.
Sure.
But man, if that's not, if that doesn't look good on your resume, but I would say the golden era to me of player development was we won the title in 2011 and we had the #1 ranked farm system. And it was just like there were Sports Illustrated articles about the Cardinal way. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is the model franchise. And we'd bring up Waka, and we bring up Martinez, and we bring up Lance Lynn, and we bring up and that specifically, that little 2-year window where we just had an infinite number of electric arms that we could bring up in from the minor leagues was incredible. But as far as that goes, like that devil magic stuff you're talking about, there's the Matt Carpenters. So we've had a number of player development. I mean, I would even say people like Brendan Donovan, Ivan Herrera, just to bring it all the way into the modern era. There have been a wide variety of successes as far as player development has been concerned. You're not ready to do the negatives yet, but this is the original sin of John Mozeliak right here is in player development. But we can stay positive for the moment.
Yeah, a few more names so you hit like 70% of the names I was going to mention.
Okay,
I think that, and this is just me cherry picking a few that
off the
top of my head and that I think were really successful. I think Colton Wong deserves to be on this list.
Sure.
I think Tommy Two Bags deserves to be on this list. He's a contributor. I think Paul DeYoung is close to this list, if not on it. The guy was an all-star. He was really unknown. Illinois State came in, and he was really pretty good. Matt Carpenter has to be on this list.
Yes.
We drafted him. I'm almost certain we did. He came up, and he was nuts. And then you mentioned Donnie, Burley. I don't know if that's ever going to be something, but there's a list of names here.
I mean, even there was like the Aledmus Diaz year at short. We have had some guys, never a superstar, but some all-stars.
And this is how we were good.
Yes.
Period, end of sentence. This is how we did it.
Yeah.
And having a literal 1 in a billion Albert Pujols, that helped. But...
Yes.
Definitely. Well, we can transition. You guys nailed everybody that I had. Just wanted to remember on the successes. Jonathan, take us through maybe some swings and misses some hot takes.
I have 5 of them. Okay. I think there's more, obviously, but these were the ones that carried some weight and I thought was going to be good and they weren't. Dylan Carlson is up there. Alex Reyes is up there. Shelby Miller. Miller was good and is still in the league. I just want to say that. Never, ever lived up to the hype. Is that Mo's fault? No. But I don't know, right? Like he never got there. Jordan Hicks. This dude could throw it 200 miles an hour and it never worked out.
I thought you were about to say Jordan Walker.
Well, I really wondered. And then Stephen Piscotty. Did we draft him?
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering if we did. That just off the top of my head. He never really turned out to be much. We thought he'd be the outfielder.
Solid. Yeah.
But he was okay. Am I missing any? I'm sure I am. But do you guys have any more?
Yeah, I mean, this is way back, but the Colby Rasmus, who was very talented, but was kind of reviled from a personal level, and what do you do about that kind of thing?
But it has with LaRussa, didn't he?
Yes, and LaRussa got rid of him, and it worked out, but not a good situation. I think you named all the players, and Andy may have more in a second, but to me, when we found out that they were having to pull money from the minor leagues to augment the payroll in the major leagues, that right there, that is the whole thing. And Mo should have been smart enough in that moment right there, and he should have come to grips with the fact that no, that this is how we do this player development. And if I'm literally weakening my player development so that I can go out and spend, market rate money on veteran free agent starters that are not going to move the needle, that was it. That was the problem, and that is what we're reaping right now in 2025 is that original sin right there. Do you think, Andy, I was going to ask this because I have not thought about this. Do you think that Mo at that moment was blinded by this window?
Arenado is here. Goldie is here. You had just signed Sonny. Is this our window? And you felt like you had to go for it, and he did not have the capital to go do it. So Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn are going for it as opposed to Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like he was blinded by that a little bit?
Yeah, he had so much what is it, the sunk cost fallacy?
Yeah, he's like, how many more chances are we going to get at this? We got Arenado. Goldie just won the MVP. Sometimes I think that he shouldn't have leveraged too much on this. He shouldn't have done it. But sometimes I think that was his reasoning. This is our chance. We got to go for it.
Yeah, Matt, do you have anything? I think that probably we have a little bit of sunk cost fallacy happening to where you're like, oh, we have this much invested. We've got to make this work with whatever it takes. It's just keep throwing it. Don't tell me that the whole thing needs to be blown up. We got to keep going on this.
I still think it was a mistake, but
Oh, no question.
I see your point 100%. And you raising it that way is starting to make me think like how much of this last quote unquote failure of John Mozeliak's, I'm just going to say the last 5 years have not been real good. How much of that would just Goldie and Arna now didn't have enough to take us as far as we were used to going? And if we'd won a couple more playoff series and if we'd made an NLCS or something, you could look back and you could at least be like, okay, well, we did that. I don't know. That's an interesting thing.
That's a nice sliding doors thought on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I still think like we just lost our way with this player development thing, and now we've had to bring somebody in from outside to fix this whole thing. This is it. This is the number one failure of John Mozeliak's career.
Mm-hmm. I have a few more players that we were swings and misses. Just stop me if you recognize them as a really big contributor in Cardinals history. Here we go. 2019, with our 19th overall pick, we select Zach Thompson, who is a lefty out of Kentucky.
Don't talk about Zach Thompson, that poor guy. We just destroyed him.
So now you could sit there all day and be like, "Oh my gosh, if we would take an X, Y, like this player in this draft." You could do that all day, but there's people like Volpe is in that same draft. George Kirby we could have picked, but here's another one.
Kirby.
Okay, Nick Plummer, 23 overall in 2015.
He's out of the league.
Yeah,
like 100%.
He never made it. Yeah, he never made it.
We could have selected somebody like Walker Buehler or Austin Riley. Okay. There we go. Let's go back to 2012 with our another. We have a lot of 23rd overall picks.
That's good. That's good because we were good.
Yeah. And so we got a guy named James Ramsey. Shout out to James Ramsey. Just like exactly.
Every franchise has these. You could do this with everybody.
You could,
for sure.
100%. 100%. You could.
The philosophy of what we did in like drafting the players we drafted a lot of like college pitchers that didn't have high upside. It seems like we were really bad early on.
The model
position player. Yes. It's just like the model got creaky and old, and Mo didn't update it. And man, we're just this is it. This is the harvest that we are reaping right now every day.
So I think that brings us to a great transition point, and I think this is what happened. Jonathan, you said that he can be remembered as like 80% good, 20% bad. I think it's closer to 60-40 because I think the rot started earlier on.
The rot, that's a good way to say it.
And just what you guys talked about, like that.
Yeah.
We're just now seeing it.
Like it's like if you play a game where you're like you can invest in R&D, like research and development. It's just like we didn't do any of that anymore. Like we just gave it up and was like, let's go get big name as best as we can, and we're just not going to invest in R&D. And I think that happens earlier on. I think that happens more like in 2017, 2018, where that the foundation of mediocrity is being laid by him. Yeah. And it hasn't, the fruits haven't, like the trees planted, it just hasn't bear fruit yet. And it's happening earlier than that. Like, so kind of like what you said, Jonathan, like he's like, okay, Goldschmidt, Arenado, yes. Like I saved myself from, I know whatever we think, or, like the R&D, the player development side. I think that's where that is starting so perhaps let's talk about that transition of like the trades. I think that's when it started to become, Matt said, the Mo way. It changed from R&D to we got to get like Goldie or Arenado. We've done that in the past with like Holiday, like you said, that was big for us. But Matt, take us through perhaps that transition from R&D to we got to land a big fish with a trade.
You're right about this R&D thing, but I was just going to say I think the Mo trades, that's like an all caps bright spot for him on his resume. He always, not every single trade, but was quite good. I mean, I already mentioned the Colby Rasmus trade, and again, that wasn't all him, but just all the way back there. I mean, got Arenado for a bag of chips, got Goldie for some Doritos. Like those were excellent trades. And I know Arenado has really fallen off a cliff here, but I mean, if you go and look what the Rockies got, and the Rockies are paying some of his, these are like fleecings that he got, and then he was He was legitimately good at these margin moves. Like we'd pop up with a Jose Quintana, even even lesser than that, even your John Lesters, your J.A. Haps. He really would find some contributors in a lot of times.
John Lester, what a name! I forgot about him.
And so we never could like develop the biggest of the big fish, but Mo is pretty good at like filling out the school of fish around the big one. Like this was always something he was pretty good at, with some notable misses.
I mean, you're gonna have those.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You mentioned a few, like all the names I had, minus the one I wanted to mention was Montgomery. Monty.
Sure.
We got him from the Yankees for nothing. That was for Bader, and I don't want to say Bader was nothing, but and then we traded for
and
then
got Sajacy out of him.
Yeah, we got Sajacy, who's something, but that's a name I hadn't seen in a long time. Was Jason Hayward?
Yes, true.
We traded for him, did we not? We traded Shelby Miller, and who was the other guy? Tyrell Jenkins. There's a name that we. But people sour on Jay Hay. He had his best MLB season with us.
Correct.
In his best season, and we'll talk about this one in the next section. Dodge Day, Matt just massive freaking bullet with that one. But he was really good at this stuff. He was really good. He has had way more wins and losses in the trades.
Yes. I mean, the Marcell Ozuna trade still keeps me up at night sometimes, that we traded Zach Gallen and Sandy Alcantara. We traded multiple Cy Youngs to get Marcell Ozuna. And Ozuna was never was solid it's not like he was horrible for us. It was solid, but then has gone to the Braves and it's like actually been pretty good for the Braves. So there were some notable whiffs in there. There were some notable margin moves that were also whiffs. But again, this is stuff you can go to every franchise. But I can't walk away from this trade section thinking about Mozeliak thinking anything besides he was good at this. He did a great job, and it's just positive for him.
So that does lead us into we had a transition, probably the biggest one. I guess I feel for the people who have lost LeBron from their franchises before. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Pujols.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often in the sports world, right?
Yeah.
It's shocking when it does, like Luka to the Lakers or Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers, like generational talents that move on. And I cannot imagine like trying to hash that out and make that decision, like specifically on Alberto. So we dodged a huge one there, and I would love to read a short book, something about that year or his ideology once he steps away, and like maybe he can speak about it more freely, or if he's transparent enough to do that with his little sweatshirts from the East Coast. But I just can't imagine some of the decisions and some of the bullets we've dodged. Jonathan, take us through some of that.
I was gonna say just the two I know in my lifetime watching the Cardinals, and I'm really glad we did not sign, was Pujols and Jason Hayward. Pujols, we anteed up way biggest contract ever would have been, and Pujols did us a huge favor. He did. I mean, he was atrocious with the Angels. Atrocious. He was a completely different guy. Hayward, atrocious. The Cubs, man, that made me feel so good. At the time he went and signed with the Cubs, he slighted us. He was like, the Cubs are younger, they're going to be better. Which, was he wrong?
Do you remember that David Price? We thought we were going to sign David Price. He signed with the Red Sox, and he was good for a couple of years.
But it aged.
I mean,
so
horrifically
poorly.
bad. Yes.
Now, can I give you a couple signings I loved?
Yeah, sure.
Number one for me, Chris Carpenter. On the recycling bin in Toronto. No one could have expected this. And Chris Carpenter is a part of deep Cardinal lore of just being this champion here who came in and did all this stuff. That doesn't even need to be talked about, right? He's the guy. Holiday, huge one, right? He's, again, deep in the lore. Here's a good one, Matt. You're going to like this one. Oh, Jehani Peralta.
I knew you were going to say his name.
I love me some Johnny Peralta. He was awesome for us.
Yeah.
He was awesome for us. Lance Berkman. Humongous for that 2000.
Oh, that's Tush or...
Beltron, all caps Beltron in the iPhone from here until I die. That's what it is.
Yes.
Love those, and those were just so fun when he did them. It's like, oh, Matt Holliday, like he's awesome. Like you don't expect it to happen, so he did nail a few of these too.
I think to me, this was the single hardest metric with which to evaluate Mo, because this to me is where the DeWitts play the biggest role. Mo can only do what he can do. So to me, we finished second place for a lot of huge free agents, and in some cases, we're very lucky that we did. We did some good deals for some hometown heroes like the Wainwrights, the Molinas. We locked those guys up. We did Goldschmidt, we did Arenado. I thought all those things were reasonable when we did them. Mo was bad at signing bullpen names. I mean, the Brett Cecils, like that kind of stuff, just really, really bad at that. Yeah. And I think this is already like Chaim Bloom is again. Chaim is blooming. Like we're pulling these bullpen guys out of nowhere, and I think we're going to be much better as far as that is concerned. I think Mo's sin and the rot that started in the player development, it really started to hurt us when we had to go sign back Lance Lynn and we had to go sign back Kyle Gibson, and we just had to keep giving Miles Michaelis money. That hurt us because we don't have these unlimited budgets where we could carry a star or two, but it really started to hurt our franchise and our flexibility if you had to sign these mid-tier free agents, and we need to be developing those mid-tier free agents. So again, I think on the whole, with what he was given to work with, I think he did fairly well with free agency with some really bad bullpen misses. But then again, his failure in one area kind of leaked over into the free agency stuff and put us in a bad spot in some cases.
Beautifully said. I think that's exactly right. When you said ugly bullpen signings, I just thought Andrew Miller.
Oh,
you remember that one?
Yeah.
He literally was just a starting pitcher in the Cleveland bullpen. He just pitched every game, and then we signed him, and it's like he just left his arm in Cleveland.
Yeah. It wasn't all horrific. Like there was your Pat Neshaks.
Oh, sure.
It was Siguano. Like there were some successes too, but then there would just be like, oh my God, we just spent $60 million on a bullpen guy. We just wasted our money. Like it was bad.
I don't think Brett Cecil ever pitched. He pitched like one time, and we're like, what?
All the time. It was bad.
So quick fire, give him A through F rating go back to trades. Let's go back to trades first.
Okay.
What do you have A through F for Mo's ability in his trade? If Matt, we'll go with you because you said that this is a dub category for him. So where are you rating him?
A- for sure. Very good. Notable misses. Everybody's got him, but A- is good.
Is the minus just coming from Ozuna? Because all I thought about whenever you were mentioning this was how much do I dock for Ozuna?
Yeah.
Is this like the 190, 80, 70 scale of like A, B, C, D?
The only other minus I would do is sometimes I think we'd hang on to Tyler O'Neill a little bit too long. We'd hang on to some pieces too long. And so I think you may have even just talked me into giving him a B+ here because of that. But still very good, very positive.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to say B+ because every time I see Ozuna, it hurts my soul. Because if we had Sandy Alcantara, my gosh. I don't even care about Zach Gallen, even though he's great. He's fine. But Sandy Alcantara just kills me every time I see him.
Yeah. And so then, Jonathan, go into what would you give him on a grade of free agents? Like what some of the decisions he's had to make. Give us a A
I think
F.
this is a solid B as well. There's some misses, just like Matt said, but I think the dodging the Pujols, dodging the Hayward, those are and Price, those are hundreds of millions of dollars, like literally franchise altering mistakes that we cannot pay this. The Angels paid it, right? The Cubs could pay it. We could not have done that. And then those signings I mentioned, those were critical in these postseason runs. So I'm going to say a solid B. I think it's hard to get an A in any of this stuff. It's too much flux.
Yeah, Matt?
I agree with the B. I think he gets like bonus points for having to deal with the budget of the DeWitts when we probably could have spent more in some places. And I think he, for a lot of his tenure, I think he deployed that pretty efficiently. But then again, because I'm going to give him like a D in the player development, well, I don't know if D's fair. Maybe like a C- because we did obviously have some early success. That kind of drags down his free agency stuff to me because we did some stuff that you shouldn't be doing if you're the Cardinals.
Yeah. Are you saying player development is so low because of roster construction? Would you put that in there too?
Well, that's part of it. We do seem to have like 65 of one type of guy, and we don't move on from them, and he doesn't make decisions fast.
I feel like that's kind of sprinkled in with free agency. Okay. It's sprinkled in with draft and development. Like the roster, because if it was just a roster construction on its own, that would be a lower grade for me, because that's what you're talking about with. We have held on to guys for far, far too long.
Did we mention Dexter Fowler? Did that name get dropped in there for like at all?
Free agency?
It did. I don't even know if I look back, how I feel about that. It
wasn't
great.
2 years pretty good, and then
he was
not real good. Yeah,
not real good. Yeah, and we mentioned Mike Leake, didn't we? Did I mention Mike Leake?
We did not mention Mike Leake, but that is a bad one.
That's a bad one.
Yeah, I say good, as in that's a good bad one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That was a oof.
Yes, it was.
Always thing that perplexes me of how I would handle it myself. Like, I like doing this. Is this next section is the managers, how that works, what you see, maybe your vision of where the franchise should be going, what things the managers are doing that you don't like. I'm very interested in that. I would love one day to be a fly on the wall and just kind of listen in to what they're looking at, what they don't like, why they move on from somebody that is, like Shilty, Mike Schilt, who is still having success with the Padres, who's probably going to be in the postseason again. So let's talk that for just a second, of what you guys have felt how he's handled the captain of the ship inside the dugout. Jonathan, we'll start with you.
Well, he didn't hire Tony La Russa, right? We just get that out of the way.
Right. He inherited
Tony. So his first decision was Mike Matheny. And I was almost going to say something, Andy, whenever you said Schilt was going to be in the playoffs, and I was going to ask, wait, is Matheny also coaching a team into the playoffs? No.
High school team,
No, he is not. High school team. I struggled how I was going to describe this, but I think that this is where I'll land. I think the Matheny managerial decision was an unmitigated disaster. I think it was a disaster. Yep. I know why Mozeliak, I know why he did it. Matheny was a respected catcher. Catchers are normally like, they're quarterbacks, right? They know the most about what's going on. He seemed to have the kind of demeanor that wouldn't get rattled. But as time went on, Matt, I think we've said this before. It felt like Matheny was, 15, 16 years old and given the keys to a Ferrari and just immediately wrecked it into the nearest light pole. We had this foundation. We had this team. This is like 2012, 13, 14, 15. And if you look, those are all a lot of NLCS appearances, a lot of World Series appearances. And Matheny, in my opinion, did more things poorly than good at that time. Right, you could look at things. You're like, what is he doing? Why is he sticking with this guy? Why is he benching Colton Wong? Why is right? You could ask that a million different times. So the Matheny signing, or the Matheny just experiment, I think was totally terrible. I think Schilt was fine. I didn't hate this. I thought he was okay. Schilt this is my new favorite word, milk toast. He was so bland, like Schilt was, like he comes out, and this is no shots fired because I'm a glasses wearer. He's got the old wire glasses on. He doesn't look like a baseball guy.
No, he'd be doing your tax returns. Yeah.
Going from Matheny, like Matheny was a devilishly handsome man. Let me get that out of the way. You go from Matheny to Schilt, and Schilt's like, oh man, like what happened here, And I thought he was fine. We were successful under his leadership. We have this weird Schilt gets fired out of nowhere. And I remember I was in some position where I couldn't take a phone call, and I saw you call me, Matt, and I was like, I got to take this. And we talked about this for like 40 minutes. We're like, what happened? Schilt got fired. How? Why? We just went to the playoffs. We just did all this stuff. And then Marmol, I feel indifferent about it. He hasn't had the roster to be successful. I don't think. I think he was successful in 22. We had the team, right? And he took him to the playoffs. I don't know that I think that Marmol's done anything that has given me any reason to think that it's been like oh my gosh, Mo, how could you hire Marmol? So those are the three. Matheny, I thought was a disaster. Schilt, I thought was fine. Weird tension that got him fired. Marmol, I thought it's been totally fine. And I think that's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing. Matt, is that do you feel similarly? Any disagreement with that?
I do. As you were describing it, I kind of feel like this is where I've landed on John Mozeliak. I think he's like a good steward of Gondor.
Oh, no.
But he's not Aragorn. He's like the guy that sits next to the throne, but he's like not capable of making the actual decisions. Like we stuck it out with Matheny till the bitter end until you just couldn't do it anymore. And then Schilt went to the playoffs and we had a philosophical difference with Schilt and we got rid of him. Why couldn't we have had a philosophical difference? I had a philosophical difference with Matheny. You know what I mean? If he'd had some more kinetic action with Matheny, and maybe I will go to my grave thinking Mike Matheny cost us one World Series title during that 2012 to 2015 run.
That's
I can't
the minimum.
that. But that is a hardcore belief of mine. I think Marmol is good. I think Mozeliak has done well with that hire. I think Schilt was a good hire. So I really only think that the Matheny hire was horrific. And then the Schilt, why didn't you do what you did with Schilt with Matheny would be the only thing. So you were the steward over here on the side and you weren't the king making the actual good choices.
Who do you think is his Pippin that sings to him?
Michael Gersh.
Michael Gersh.
Demoted from actual general manager to like GM of promotions. Like he does the
Oh no.
That's just what's so weird about this Schilt firing is like Schilt was successful. Everything he won games, went to the playoffs, and Matheny was just like, just swerving around. And it's like, what are we doing?
That's probably the biggest Cardinals mystery. If they were going to do like the Last Dance, like the Last Dance on Netflix for the Cardinals, I would want to do it around like the 3 days Schilt got fired.
Yeah, and I will say from my fandom, the Matheny years are where me drifting away from it occurs.
Well, you missed a good time.
Is like that era. Like I don't have strong feelings like that you guys do, and I think it's because I kind of pieced out a little bit.
Just trust us. Just trust us on that.
I believe you, but I think that adds to, if I represent the casual fan, I think that statement speaks volumes about Matheny. Is that I don't have a hatred for him. I just don't know anything about him because I became indifferent kind of about where the Cardinals, what they were doing. I think that speaks something to the legacy of that decision, of Mo's decision, and Mike Matheny's legacy as the captain of the ship. I think that does, because when you guys were talking Matheny, it's just like I don't remember him at all.
I was trying
somewhere
to look,
Seth Maness's UCL and shoulder tendons just quivered.
Oh my gosh, he was manager for 7 seasons. Yeah. That's what I'm seeing here. 7?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I thought it was like, I don't know why my memory, I thought it was like 4.
That's 7. Like the Randall Grichuk, Steven Piscotty. You held him for like 2 years too long. We always did that. He just wouldn't make the choices fast enough.
6.5 seasons. Wow. Who was the guy on those teams that was drunk in 3.5 seconds?
Seth Maness.
Same guy?
Yeah.
Andy, you missed it. Glory times. We'd win, like, getting into the playoffs, and they'd do like the post-game interviews. And
this was like in the champagne soaked locker room, and Jimmy the Cat Hayes was in there just getting that toupee wet on top. And Seth Maness was just slammered from like 2 Bud Lights.
But that's the thing. It went from we win the game, commercial break, straight to the dugout. He's already drunk. We're talking 2.5, 3 minute break max. He was in the bullpen doing it.
But I just have such fond memories of that era. Like we would always win. We would always win. Always.
Yep.
So let's take a step back and look at from the playoff appearances and performance and World Series. Let's talk about for a second how John is going to be remembered from that. If that is a bar of success in professional sports, which typically is, because anytime you have GOAT conversations in any NBA, NFL, it's always like, how many rings do they have? How is John going to be remembered to set the Cardinals up for success and the playoff performance and World Series wins? Matt, we'll start with you on this.
From what I looked up, the Cardinals have the 7th most wins in the postseason since 2007. We've played the 5th most games in the postseason in the MLB since 2007. And to be a mid-market size team with a fan base that helps you punch above your weight and in a 2011 World Series title, you can't ignore that. Mo was the chief of the franchise for 20 years, and we had 2 losing seasons, and you can't ignore that. The Cardinals won a lot. We won consistently. We won all the time. We sold 3 million tickets. Like, for whatever we want to say bad about John Mozeliak, he deserves some credit for that. Now, obviously, there are players and coaches. There's a whole world,
Sure.
a galaxy of people
Right.
around him. But it starts and ends with him. He is the nexus. He is going to have a red jacket. And if I can have a few years before they'll put him in the Cardinals Hall of Fame, maybe when we kind of return to prominence and I can have a few years away from some of this bitterness that I feel, if I'm at Busch Stadium and he's getting his red jacket, I will stand up, I will clap, and I will remember the good times because it's just so unfortunate that it came to this. But I think this happens almost always in sports at the end.
Yeah.
The end of legendary players' careers are never like you rarely ride off into the sunset. Same thing with managers. And so it's unfortunate that it happens to the president of baseball operations. But I mean, what a Cardinals career. This guy he's a Hall of Famer for the Cardinals.
Yes.
Yep. Jonathan, anything you want to add on?
I was just going to say, I think knee jerk, he's going to be remembered for the 2 World Series. Right, like being a part of the organization. I know he wasn't the
and 11.
head. He wasn't the head of it in 06, but it was right there in 11. He will be remembered for that. But I was trying to think, like, what's a sentence that I would do to try to remember him? And I think it's just, he was a great team architect until he wasn't.
Yeah.
He was awesome at it until he just wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, Matt, I think you said it very eloquently that, what do you do when Michael Jordan starts to show signs of, age? What do you do if Tom Brady? I guess Tom Brady just goes to Tampa and wins another Super Bowl. That's what he does. But it's kind of this awkward dance you do, for lack of a better term, to kind of get out of this, and it's tapered off at the end. So I just think he was great until he wasn't. That's the best I could come to describe him. But we were lucky to have him when we had him. I do believe that. I will always remember him more fondly than for the Ozuna trade.
Yeah.
I think in the end, the pros probably outweigh the cons. I think overall he was a solid GM, manager of baseball operations. I agree. The rotation issues here at the very end of the Cardinals these last couple of seasons is unfortunate for him, sinking money into places that we had no business sinking money into. Players is unfortunate, and I wonder if the only thing that I would speak is his reluctance to burn it all down, to never calling for a full rebuild. I stepped away from Cardinal fandom for just a little bit, like I just said, with those Matheny years. So you guys stuck around the whole time. Is there a time from '07 to present where he has acknowledged that the Cardinals are in a full rebuild? Have we ever used those terms ever inside the Cardinals franchise?
No, but I'm not sure the DeWitts would have been on board for that. I think I understand what you're saying in that we need one now, and it's his decisions that have led to the fact that we've needed one now. But had he done, I mean, this is the worst thing I think you can say about him. Had he done his job, continued to be effective and good at it all the way through, I don't think we would need a rebuild. And so he bears a lot of the brunt of responsibility. If it takes us 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5 to get back, this is a wilderness time that he set the GPS course for, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's in the end, he is a B, somewhere in the B's, B minus to B plus. You can make an argument, GM, who at the end has tarnished himself for whatever reasons that we may never ever understand. Like you said, Matt, like closed door conversations with the owners of the St. Louis Cardinals, where he truly had his hands tied, and this is the best he could do. We don't know. So we don't know if we should take our outrage with Mo or outrage with the DeWitt family. But in the end, here we are at the precipice of burn it to the ground is where the Cardinals, we need to just purge the things that are not okay and need to regroup and have a full rebuild. And I've never heard those words ever uttered out of the Cardinals franchise. And I just wonder, like Jonathan, we said from the top, the sunk cost fallacy, like how much has that affected him at the end of his career here, where he's like, I don't have it in me to do a rebuild. Or maybe he couldn't. Maybe, like you said, Matt, we'll never know. Jonathan, anything else that you just want to add to at the very end here of how he's going to be remembered? Anything that strikes you?
No, I think it's. I mean, we won a lot in all of the. We've won a lot Right? We have won a lot of games, and it was really exciting to be a Cardinals fan in that 2010 to 2020 range. And even with, minus Matheny, and we're ripping him, but he won a lot of games. Okay, I do want to say that. He just was frustrated to watch at times.
Yeah.
I think that is the ultimate cloud over John Mozeliak is what was his fault and what was not his fault. It's easy to blame him, but the DeWitts are known to not, open up the checkbook. We know that. Everybody knows that. So I think he did a really nice job with what he was given. We will also see, though, how does Heim do given the same constraints? Maybe the wallet opens up a little more for him, maybe not. So we'll see. Did he navigate it well? If Heim is given the same stuff and he continues to, or he takes it further, I don't know. I don't even know if that's fair to grade him against him, but I will be looking for that in the future with Heim because in my lifetime, I wasn't really old enough or with it enough to understand the Walt Jocketty era. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't critiquing what we did then. So this is going to be a whole new world in how we view this, a whole new transparency era, I hope, right, that we've never experienced from Mo. So I'm looking forward to what's next and appreciate what he did, Yeah,
for sure.
Well, do we have anything at all for the listeners to look forward to other than just win one more game so that we can be good in the over call from the Giants or Cubs series that are coming out from the Cardinals? Okay, first of all, I'm just going to go on record and say Jordan Walker is dead to me.
He's dead to you.
He's dead to me. I don't like seeing his name in the lineup anymore. That's where I'm at with that. That's how bad it is. So for me personally, So as long as Jordan Walker's not in the lineup with the Giants and the Cubs, I'm good.
I've shifted into off-season mode in terms of what I'm interested in and what I'm looking for. And some of Heimblum's comments have leaked their way to Katie Wu, and she's reporting that you should expect big changes and big roster overhaul and turnover this offseason. That's very exciting. But I think there's a lot of wisdom in something Jonathan said a couple weeks ago, which is there's like 6 or 7 baseball games left. And this is something fundamentally that we all love and we all like to participate in. So I'm just going to do what I can and catch what I can and just be I'll just try to stay sad and wistful while I'm doing it. But this stuff matters to me. It's a core part of my life. And, it's I like doing this because I do it with you guys too. And there's a family legacy to it. I still love the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Even if it's in a hard position. So, this last 6 or 7 games, just soak up what I can.
That was tough to follow because that was a great way to end that one. But I just have to say I have on my notes Walker and Gorman. We're just watching for them.
No, we're not.
And after we're not. He's dead to us. After reminiscing on all these wins and doing all this stuff, I just looked down there and I'm like, I gotta watch Gorman, who has struck out so many times recently. I gotta watch him do it again. What you look for has changed just drastically. And it's like, man, we are so far back down here. And I know we've talked about this, but you guys nailed it. I mean, let's just enjoy the last couple games. And I'm just so ready for the offseason stuff. I'm so ready to see who do they cut bait on, what happens. So that's where my mind is for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Redbird Rundown, your go-to source for St. Louis Cardinals news. If you could take a second and subscribe, rate, and review the show to help us grow, we would appreciate that. Again, follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky and Facebook for the latest news, and keep those Valley Caps on, and let's go Cards.
Thanks, Mo.